How y'all doing? Y'all, hey. Hi. I'm like, y'all talking until I got here. What's going on?
Waiting for you.
Oh,
You were starting.
I am. But I'm starting with y'all. That's why we did the circle. So we can have some conversation. So instead of it being a talk at y'all, we all here. We all here. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Perfect. For those of you all I have not met formally, my name is Robert Lee Newman III, and I am the director and lead curator here at Art for Walls Gallery. This is the largest Black-owned art gallery in Harlem. And if I'm not mistaken, the largest Black-owned art gallery in New York City. Tonight, you guys are joining us for Art After Dark every third Friday of the month, similar to First Fridays, or the MoMA, or First Saturdays at Brooklyn Museum. Every third Friday, we keep the doors open a little bit longer, so we can get our young collectors and young at heart. And yeah, we do these artist talkbacks so that the art becomes four-dimensional, so it becomes real. So you guys understand that there are people that make this stuff, like actual people. It's not just beautiful, it's meaningful. It's a part of their soul, a part of their heart, a part of their journey. And tonight I get to moderate one of these talkbacks. It's like one of my favorite gigs because, again, it helps me to learn the work, but it gives the artist an opportunity to break the fourth wall. A lot of times that I think I'm an artist as well, so I think we exist behind the canvas, and I can't speak for everybody, but I know that I enjoy people seeing my art, and if not prompted, I won't talk about it. I've thought about the art for so long that I just imagine that the other person knows exactly what it means. Like it's tattooed on my forehead, but then when they're like, "You did this? What does this mean?" I'm like, "Oh no, oh no!" I got to do the other part, the explanation. But a smart person once told me that sometimes the art isn't even the important part. It's what you get to say once you stand in front of it. It's just a prop for you to tell your story. So I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna let my two artists explain who they are, where they're from, what they do, and we'll get into it. And again, we're in a circle, so normally we do the questions at the end, but I'm inviting y'all to co-moderate with me. So as things come up, drop them on out there, and we'll try and incorporate it into the conversation as well. Sound good?
Great.
Perfect. Cool. Now's a good time to check to see if your phone is on silent. You know? If it is not on silent and it rings while we're in the middle of talking, don't be weird, you know. All you gotta do is turn it off. You don't gotta stand up, you don't gotta dance, you don't gotta look to your left and right and figure out if it's somebody else. You know you're a ringer. Perfect. I'm saying that, but I'm sure my phone is not on silent. So let me actually double check, because it happened yesterday at a conversation, and it was on silent. Whoa. Right as I did it, and I was like, man, how embarrassing. But it happens to us all. So Paris, tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
My name is Paris Souffrant, and I am proudly Jamaican and Haitian, but born and raised in Flatbush, Brooklyn. And yeah, I've been practicing art for about 8 years now. I can't so much say recently graduated, but from SUNY Purchase College with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Painting and Design. And also, these are two pieces I'm exhibiting in this Bloom show. This one is called Sisters, and this one is called He Loves Me Not.
I'm Eunice Adounkpe. I'm originally from West Africa, born in Niger. My ethnic group is from Benin. Immigrant to Nebraska of all places, and then came here. And I've been living in New York for about 7 years. I work as a therapist in a charter school, and I enjoy it very much. but art is also my heart. So I actually have pieces in the other room. You can see it through the reflection there, but we'll get a chance to talk about that later. Yeah.
Cool. I told y'all my name already. I grew up with parents in the military, so I spent a lot of time in the South, all over. I've lived in Florida, Arkansas, Tennessee, Georgia, and Oklahoma. I've been practicing art since I was about 4 years old, and I went to Morehouse College. I told some folks earlier, so I came to New York in 2014 after graduating. Ironically enough, I studied business. So I was working on Wall Street for about 8.5 years before, I guess, taking a leap of faith in 2022 to become a full-time arts entrepreneur. And I became the curator of this space in April of 2024. So I'm coming up on that 1-year anniversary. I had to say all that because I'm like, you're a therapist, you're an artist.
Yeah.
I believe you're a sculptor as well.
Yeah, a multidisciplinary artist. So I believe that art should be on everything and anything if it can, it's lived, not, limited. That's how I see it. So from clothes to sculpting, I have a lot of experience with sculpting and painting. So my experiences with creating art is much different in the sense that before we came to the United States, my access to a lot of the resources were limited. And when we moved to the United States was probably the first time that I got to actually go to school and get crayons and do all of the fun things. So because of that, I don't limit myself by the materials that I have. I just make with what I have. So I've been making art for forever, painting about 20 years. I say the last 5 years, I'm very intrigued by the process that I've come up with. Yeah.
How do you, I used to hate this question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. How do you balance? Because you said you're at a charter school, you're working with students, there's a whole different lexicon of brain power that you're using, and then I'm assuming you go home and you create throughout the night.
Yes, and ironically, because I believe art is a lifestyle, I make time for art in every capacity of my life. So my students get art therapy with me. My office is lit. I have plants, art, coloring books, supplies for my students to come in. They're high schoolers, so for a lot of them, they're like, one, you're Black, you're making art, and you have a full-time job. Much like you're saying, how do I balance? And up until 2023, I thought I was balancing. So I would go to work, gym, work, and then I would go do Uber for a couple hours, then come do lives on TikTok for a couple hours, and then repeat. And then I got hit by a car, and my life really took a little bit of a halt. But I believe that the beauty of it is that there's no balance that's going to be consistent, but as long as you're creating for you, that's really all that matters. So in that time that I've been from knee surgery to back surgery to neck surgery, all that, I think that I've learned the importance of being in the moment, and for me, art is a constant moment, so I get to make art in all capacities. I don't restrict myself in that way. Yeah.
Okay. So you're the only professional artist on this panel.
Oh no.
You actually went to school for this. How did, I'm assuming you practiced art before actually majoring in it, but how do you feel like school enhanced or maybe changed your practice, the way you think about art?
For one, I started I was an artist majority of my life. I've been dancing and doing music. I played the saxophone when I was in middle school, dancing for a majority of my life. I thought I was gonna be a professional dancer. I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. And then my junior year of high school, I just got mesmerized by the art kids. Art kids are just so cool. So I would just be upstairs during my free periods and just sitting down and what are you guys doing? And they're just sitting there sketching or thinking of things and creating things in the physical. And that's also something that I really enjoyed. I love fashion. and clothing. So I always knew that I was gonna do art in some form. But then I was in this class, it was a fashion course, and it was an open level class, and my teacher was like, hey, do you want to be part of the art department? And I was like, absolutely, yeah, because I was just always upstairs, so she got familiar with me, I knew the arts kids, and yeah, she was like, okay, well, you come late every day, so if you could change that, and the prompt or the project for me was to come during Regents Week at 7 a.m. And at this time, I didn't have Regents, so I was like, okay, I can do that. And so I did. I was there before her, sitting there throughout the Regents Week and helping with the art show that they were putting forth at my high school. And at the end, I was like, so you remember you said that I could be a part of the art department? And then I started my junior year of high school painting and drawing and learning. And at first it was like challenging, of course, because it's like, oh, I don't know how to do this. But I fully believe that art is something that is a practice, and anybody can start the practice of art. And that is something that I fully believe and enjoy. And that's kind of how it started.
So, fun fact, SUNY Purchase has a museum, right?
We do. Newburger.
Yeah, I used to work at Newburger Burner.
What?
The man whose artwork that's when I was still on Wall Street.
Okay.
And I think how the story went, this is really cool, this is a fun fact. Roy Newberger was kind of well-off kid, as it were. He grew up in New York, and his parents passed away early. So they left him with money. He went to NYU and decided college was not his thing. So he took all the money and he went to Darris. It was there for pretty much the beginning of the Roaring '20s, hanging out in cafes and museums with all the artists. He loved every minute of it, and then he found out that Van Gogh was a national treasure that died poor and in derelict. And he was ashamed for them. It's like, how do you let a master literally die poor, and now you hail him as one of the greatest artists of all time? So he got back on the plane, came back to New York, and vowed to support the contemporary art market for America for the rest of his life. He died with a biography of Van Gogh in his hand. When he was figuring out how he was going to buy and support artists, it was the Roaring '20s, and he was like, well, shit, Wall Street was making a lot of money. And he started the investment company specifically so he could collect art. He ended up being one of the first people. He ended up making the modern, how we think about the moment now. He was one of the first board members. He poured a lot of money and investment into it. He was involved with the Whitney. He was like one of the first people that tore his entire collection. And this guy was a cornerstone for folks like Georgia O'Keeffe, Romeo Bearden, Jackson Pollock. I mean, all diverse emerging artists, to the point to where he was frugal as hell too, which is crazy. So he never bought art for more than like a couple $1,000, right? He also never sold any of his art, because he realized that if I'm supporting the artist and then I resell it, now I'm competing with them. So if I bought it for $5,000, but their work is now worth $1 million, what's stopping me from just going out there and creating a secondary market? So the Rockefellers knew that this guy had all this art, and they were dying to get him to like sell it or to create a museum, and he just refused. He refused, like, I think at least for like 5 to 10 years, and then eventually when he died, they figured it out and they donated all the artwork to SUNY Purchase. And now people at Newburger would get it for free.
Yeah.
It's all connected. It's all connected. That's why you say getting that balance question.
Yeah, I think the balance is so focused on human need, right? I find myself more intrigued by, society says you have a job, you do the job to earn the money. You earn the money to survive, and I say, F that. Let me have the job and also be able to do the art. And in that process, I'm able to be dangerous, right? Being able to hold down a job and also be part of this world that we create as artists, I think is powerful, because I'm saying that I'm more than just a machine. I'm more than just what you're expecting of me. I'm gonna do that and plus, right? That's why I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm not a good example of balance in that way, but.
You know, I used to take my paintings into work all the time.
Every single day.
Like literally all the time.
All the time. And a sketchbook every morning, do a little sketch before I start my day. It's kind of like a meditation. And I think that we all have our own practices, whether it's reading, stretching, yoga, whatever it is. And especially now that I'm not physically able to do as much, like I'm taking that sketchbook to work, and the kids are constantly like, so what you sketching? What's happening? I'm like, oh, you can do this too. And a lot of the kids have picked up sketching, have sketchbooks in my office, and they're like, hey, can I see that? Can I work on that for a little bit? And it's reduced a lot of the angst and a lot of the anxiety that a lot of my students have, and I think that that's great. Like, even if that's all they get from me, I've done my job. You know?
This question for both of you. As an artist, I've heard that our job is healing, yet also continuing to expose our wounds for other people. How do you find, how do you remain authentic in your work and still, I guess, hold space for yourself? Especially in the world now, like social media and Instagram, and if you're not like in front of everybody's face and showing it every single moment of your life, it kind of feels like you're not doing the work. So how do you stay authentic within the work, but like I said, still maintain that sense of self-identity?
I can go.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I've realized along the way is to focus on the audience last. Like, I'm creating this work because I have a calling to create it. Like, something is in me to pursue whatever this is. Either if it's more casual, like, oh, I just see somebody on the train, they're sitting kind of cool, let me just sketch that really quickly. Or if it's like more in depth, like this is something that I'm researching or I'm more interested in pertaining to like my culture, my heritage. And so whatever it is to you, whatever is most powerful to you, to focus on that and not think about how people are going to perceive it, I think can be really, really helpful.
Okay.
I argue that you're asking two different questions.
Yeah.
You're asking the question about authenticity, and you're also asking a question about authenticity in the midst of the social world, or the social media world. And I think those are two different questions. Because, unfortunately, a lot of what is popular is not authentic. A lot of what social media tells you is so artistic, it's so avant-garde, or whatever the word is. English is not my first language, so whatever word I use is what I mean, or it's not always what I mean, but you'll figure it out. And because of that, we're sold or we're force-fed a lot of junk, pretending to be a lot of amazing. This is so what? That's the first time I've ever seen that. No, it's not. And the reality is, if the person sharing the information with you is not someone you can see yourself being next to, or in a room with, or in a conversation with, then half of the time it's not something you're going to be able to connect with. For me, I want to be someone that, besides race, besides what I look like, besides gender, besides what job I have, besides where I'm from, you can see something, connect with it, whether or not it's your lived experience or not, and go home feeling like I've learned, or I've opened my life to something else, right? And I think that that's what good art is. that's what authentic art is. It surpasses the first layer of like, oh, that's so pretty. Great. But good artists will make beautiful things out of other things, right? Good artists will force you to observe a situation that you may have never observed before and be like, you know what? Damn, I participated in that, or I didn't know that, or I don't think I like that. And that's okay. But oftentimes, because of the social media world, we're constantly being given, you take it, right? You like it, you don't even remember after you've liked it, and you're like, I remember seeing that one place, but like I don't know what it's about. Because there was nothing really behind what you saw, right?
Audience, what questions do y'all have? Surely there may be a few.
I love the observation that you don't necessarily have to like it, that it is subjective. However, that I can engage with it and ask questions or be prompted in my heart of a certain feeling or a certain emotion. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that if we limit art to being just pretty to look at or convenient or comfortable, we as artists aren't doing our job. How many things we look at history, we're talking about Van Gogh, we're talking about all these other artists who were told are good artists because people have given it value with money. But arguably, time is the most valuable, right? And time leads to experience, and experience leads to connection. And that's what gives us all meaning each and every single day. We're like, okay, so I saw that thing and it made me feel this thing. And then I remember this memory about when I was a kid about that one, that situation, and then before you know it, like, damn, why am I sad now? Or damn, man, I wish I could go back, and you call that friend up, or you do. That's the beauty. Or, hey, you haven't participated in your community and you should do something about it. That's the beauty. And that's whether it's visual, whether it's music, whether it's, and especially in a city like New York, we see art every single day. Because people are taking the time to share with one another, from our outfits, from the jewelry we wear, from the music we listen to all of those things. But oftentimes people are like, okay, cool. Cool has become a way of saying, enough. Like, right? It really has, like, I'm satiated, but we're not actually taking in anything.
I'm going to ask a question. I have two questions actually. So you mentioned that art is so vulnerable, right? You guys put so much into canvas or whatever you're creating. But in this world where, in some sense, you have more to be noticed for the things that you're putting your energy into and what you want to convey. And that takes a level of, playing in the world that we're in, which is social media and the attention span of people, and, our thinking skills are going down the side a little bit here. How do you maintain that conviction to stick to this? The parallel in my world is, as a founder, like, I'm on LinkedIn all the time, and I hate it. I just, it's like the worst place in the world. But the constant feedback is like, you have to do it, you have to do it. These are, like, how do you keep that conviction in what you're doing to keep, and not sway from what's here? And do you find like commonalities in artists that do this really, really well, and maybe some that struggle with this? I'm sure there's and everything in between, but just want to understand, like, what do you see as like a common trait or characteristic of artists that are able to kind of rise above this noise?
I think that's a beautiful question. Thank you for asking that. How do you stay true to yourself? I think for me personally, just going to like my core values and what I believe in, and if something doesn't sit right with me, I'm not gonna just post online because I feel like, okay, this is what everyone else is doing. But that's just, I I don't know how you can find
Yeah.
that spirit in yourself. I think that's something that is a personal journey. So I don't necessarily know how to answer that question for somebody else.
Yeah.
But I think that it's just something that you can grow and develop. But I don't know how to for somebody. But I would just say try to, if something doesn't feel right and it feels like I'm just doing this because of somebody else, then don't do it. But then the flip back is, this is the world.
Yeah.
And you kind of do have to, I don't wanna say settle into it, because you don't, but you just have to see how you can like spin and make it work for you, if that makes sense. Yeah, I would say that.
Makes sense.
There's this saying in my culture, I'm gonna translate, so again, might not be as clear, but when you go to the market, do not be distracted by the noise, do not be distracted by the business of the market, but by the journey or the purpose you're there for. So, loosely, I'm making art for me first and foremost, right? So that means that success in my book I've already attained. And if success in my book I've already attained, everything else is just a bonus. And because everything else is a bonus, I can live with or without, right? But what I can't live without is making art. What I can't live without is sharing the stories that are invaluable, that are priceless to me. And because of that, I have a why.
Yeah.
And so it's really about knowing, for me, it's about knowing my why. And advocacy being at the forefront of what I paint about or I talk about, and opening doors to conversations that, as someone who has had dual perspective of the world, having lived in another country and coming to the US, I think that I have a duty to advocate, but also to explore and to create spaces where people don't have to feel like, you know, I wonder, no, take up space, be yourself, share with me in the fact that I'm doing this and you're doing this alongside me, and I can share it on Instagram, I can share it on wherever it is, without feeling the need to be like, oh man, I didn't get any likes on this one.
Totally.
Oh man, half of the work, you can go to my Instagram, half of the work that I have on there, I've either sold already, or I'm never gonna sell. It's for me, but it's a diary. And the beauty of a diary is no one can tell you what to put on it, like in the book, so you get to put whatever you want to. I think that a lot of people feel the need to give value to the things that they're putting on social media, or, you know, because we need it. How are you gonna know that I'm doing what I'm doing, right? Or that I exist? How can I share those stories in a much wider way than to put it on there? But I'm also not gonna be like, hello, did you know that I did that thing that one time 10 years ago or whatever it is? You get to celebrate, and for me it's a celebration when I get to share it, right? I'm already living it, I'm already, you know, I've been sitting in front of this painting for 3, 4, 5 months, a year, and now I get to share it. And that's a celebration, and that should be it. So whether or not you hit the like, or whether or not, you know, it gets, I don't know, whatever the other things are people are looking for, I got to do my part, and I got to share that on that topic, on that subject.
Yeah.
So that's how I try to balance it out.
Yeah. You said you had a couple.
I mean,
Yeah, y'all can come on, talk with us. This isn't
Just
transactional,
questions.
you know?
I wanted to ask you about like support, because in my mind, in terms of like supporting
this. I feel like can be a form of supporting artists. It does not only have to be monetary. It can definitely just be coming to an artist studio or just like sitting down with an artist and talking with them and having them share their art with, or the reasons why they create. I feel like can be something helpful and supporting to an artist. But that is a valid point. Whenever somebody thinks supporting artists or we need to support our artists, it's by their work.
Yeah.
I think also too the artists do put that onto the world too. It's like somewhere we financially, I'm a struggling artist. So that is something that is said as well. But I think even this, like you all came out here today and we're all having this beautiful discussion about our work, and this is enough.
We brought up the social media piece a couple of times. It is, when I tell you, I get so frustrated seeing people repost Beyonce. I'm like, I'm sorry.
She doesn't need your help.
Exactly. I'm like, she has a team of experts in marketing. She has millions upon millions of dollars. And a like, share, comment, this algorithm changes every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day. Like, share, comment, like, help other people,
Get connected to.
the artists that you like, the ones that you've met, the ones that you've seen. Because again, Beyonce is a phenomenal artist. And I'm like, she does not. If nobody ever liked a post again, I'm like, wow. Like, I say it all the time to folks. Like, please share some of my stuff. If you ain't got no money and you're not gonna buy it, just share it once, twice, maybe somebody. Yeah, send it to somebody. They might want it as a birthday gift. They might save up for Christmas.
Yeah.
Who knows? They might like the style and get something commissioned. I don't know. You don't know. Beyonce gonna get her coins. She's gonna get them. She's gonna get them regardless of y'all share. But everybody, again, it's that proximity thing where it's like, oh, no. I wanted you to know that she just had a new article.
We know.
We know. She got it everywhere. We know. But yeah, that's where the social part of social media really takes off. And I'm always telling folks, like, just for a gallery, for example, share the events, share the experience. Don't keep it a secret. There's no reason why this place should be a best kept secret. Just best. But that's how we get there. Spread the information.
I mean, I definitely agree. I think the most valuable thing is time. So it's both of these comments go hand in hand. It takes 5 seconds to hit a like and whatever, comment and share with someone. It takes an hour or two to come and hang out with us. But I think that a lot of times people have, especially now, because we're all pinching the points. Okay, I don't know about you, but because of that, people hold on tighter to those things, and then later we're like, man, I should have done that. Oh man, I should have I could have helped this artist before. And then we all want to be like, I knew that person before, blah blah blah. But you didn't share, you didn't communicate with this person, you didn't. And something as simple as like, hey, I really like your work, and I look forward to seeing you wherever it is, at a MoMA or whatever, at a gallery. I think that the amount of times that I've heard that in moments where I was like, I'm never gonna leave this little town that I'm living in. I'm never gonna, be able to go wherever it is. It's empowering. It is. Art supplies are also really nice. Michael's gift cards. But yeah, I think it's time. So taking time to get to know the artists, their why. Why are they making this stuff? Having these conversations are very important, I think.
And I just gotta say it because I already brought it up. Give me that money. Go ahead, reach into your pocket and we wish y'all nothing but health, success, and prosperity. We know y'all got it. Give us that money. Support somebody. Keep us off the street. But I'll qualify it. Get to know the artists that you enjoy, because 9 times out of 10, we have more than just $20,000 pieces. We got merch, we got prints, like I said, some artists do commissions. How much you got? $10. Bet. Which one? I could make that $10 work with something. Not me, but something. but that's my point. Like some of the best artists that I know, especially the living ones, they go above and beyond. They go out of their way to make sure that there are a million different accessible points for their audience. The guy, he's big in Harlem. Well, he's big in all of New York. He's just big, but he's from Harlem. Ronald Draper Art. I just saw him speak at a panel recently, and he says he has these like lapel pins that are beautiful as hell. And I remember him telling me, or explaining it to an audience. He was like, "You want an audience that's willing to grow with you. So if today all you got is the $10 that you can spare, get a pen. Tomorrow you might have 100. I'm still be making art. Get a print. Tomorrow you might have 1,000. Now we got some original pieces, but it's like it's so many different ways to get involved with most artists.
But exactly on that point, like most of the companies and brands that we all consume started from some point, right? Like I don't know what's Nike was not just didn't start big time, right? And so if you really want to see from the foundation up, it is about taking the time to participate with that company. But like anything else, artists own those businesses, right? The same way that we have mailmen, the same way we have, a teacher, the same way we have engineers, the same way we have musicians. We also want to be compensated for the work that we do. The same like anybody else who's living and participating in the world. So find, I'm an equal opportunity creative. So that means that you can catch me here and get a print, you can catch me later at MoMA and get a painting, you can, because I believe that it's important to create spaces that are unique to you with the art and the things that you want in your spaces. And if that means it's $10, like you're saying today, and it's $250 and a year from now, great. Build those relationships, I think. I'm curious, I'm gonna ask the question. How many of y'all, come on. How many of y'all remember the first piece of art that you purchased? And what was it, or what was the name? Yeah, come on. Talk to me nice.
I was in Paris and I just went to the flea market. And I kind of had it in my mind, I want to start like buying some more, but I was like, what? I don't really have a lot of money. So I just went and like sorted through, this guy, he had like a whole, like his part of the sidewalk was like as big as this room. And I picked up like 3 or 4 things, and I still have to get frames for them, but they're like hung up, without the frames until I get the framing for them. And they just relax me.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Right, the sentiment of getting something that's now your own, that someone created, that is now your own, and you get to participate in that growth process is important. It is.
And to piggyback off of what you said, I feel like a lot of people, when they think of an art collector, they think of somebody that got billions of dollars and they're getting things from the galleries only. No, you're an art collector. You have a collection of this person's art that is in Paris. And so you're starting your collection. So you can think of it that way as well. It doesn't have to be somebody that has this grand collection of famous artists or well-known artists right now. You're an art collector as well. So think of yourself as well.
Still waiting.
also have to think of art in the physical of like fine arts too. You can think of art in like sculptures or art pieces in terms of like your home space. I meant to say sculptures when I said art pieces, but yeah. Think about things that you found or what drew you to that
Oh,
piece.
yes, and that was my first piece now that I think about it.
Yeah. But it was important enough that you recognize it, right?
Yes, it
And
was
the
probably
connection.
the most recent, and it was the most deliberate. Because now that you said that, I do have other musical instruments with like paintings on it from
Yeah.
other travels,
Artifacts.
and I didn't think of
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah.
But then I said, oh, I'm gonna be intentional. And on that trip, I like had in my mind I was gonna be intentional.
That's, we're talking about artifacts, we're talking about different things, but the some of the first things that occurred with colonialism and a lot of other countries coming to other countries and taking stuff was people taking artifacts. That means it's not necessarily a piece of art. It is something that gave meaning to that person. Like, this is worth something, right? You get to decide at any point in time to say, this is worth something to me. When you say to an artist, I want to get this, right? People have like wooden spoons for cooking considered art in museums. There are religious artifacts, like in a museum in Paris right now, and someone was like, I was cooking. Like that was part of like my granny gave me that, right? And it's because it means something to someone. And when you say, I'm getting this piece of work, it's not just saying, I'm getting this paper, I'm getting this canvas. It's saying, this means something to me, and I want you to know that, and I'm taking it with me to give it a happy home. It's more than just a transaction, right? And I think that a lot of times people are like, how can I get this thing quick? And boom, 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 we're in such a fast-paced world, we don't recognize how much we do that. You go to the store and you find a pair of nice shoes, you're like, man, this is gonna be useful for me. This is gonna mean something for me for a year, 2 years, until there's a hole in it or whatever the case is, and you hold on to it for the meaning that it has for you.
Any more questions? Thoughts, comments?
I did have a question. In your intro, you said that like the last 5 years you've been really enjoying the process of painting. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, I think that there's some things said about how we shed new skin every like 7 years or whatever the number is. I bio major, but I'm not using it for nothing important. But I think in the same way that art and artists have this relationship where we go through phases and we go through. I'm proud of myself for making art, period. But what I'm intrigued about is how in the last 5 years, I've really developed this new way of telling my story and connected with people in a much nuanced way. And so when I say I've been making art my entire life. 20 years I say because I've been in the United States for that long and have had access to a lot of different supplies, and accessibility will change the product, the end product. But I'm intrigued by how people have received the information. So I call my company Tongue-Tied, which is on my shirt, because the process of translating as an immigrant to English has been one of the hardest things, I think. And art is a language of its own, right? And my language is different than Robert's, it's different than Paris's. And because of that, the way that we communicate is by, oh man, I felt that, or I saw that, or I also remember that. And in the last 5 years, the development that I've come to in my work has included race, gender, class, like socioeconomics, religion, and I've been able to, at the forefront of that, highlight Black bodies. At the forefront of that, celebrate Black bodies before they're not here. And in the same way when we're talking about artists, enjoying people while we're here, while we get to be part of that process. And so that's why I say that. That's a great question. Thank you for remembering that I said that.
Before we break from our circle, can y'all both tell me about one of the pieces that you have featured in the current exhibition?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's start with you. Since
We
we're-
can start here.
Yeah.
Hello, again. So this piece is called Sister, and it started as a sketch of two sisters that I saw on, or two women, two figures, two children that I seen on Instagram, and I thought that the subject matter was really interesting, and I did a quick sketch in my book, and then 2 years later, I came back to that sketch, and I was like, this needs to be a painting. The sketch looks completely different than what the painting came out to be. I could not find the image anymore that I sketched this quick sketch from, so I was doing and creating based off of my cultural experience and heritage. And yeah, the background is concrete that you would see found often in Caribbean homes, in like the front yard. And chickens are often in the space as well, just roaming around. And yeah, I came back to this piece. I think telling the story of like how it came about too is very helpful. I can also show you guys an image of the sketch and show you how different it was.
Sorry.
I'll pass it around. But yes, again, I'm Haitian and Jamaican, so this piece I feel like from the color to the two girls just sitting on the front porch is really meaningful to me. And that's
I immediately knew that was brick. You know why? Because back home we have the same thing too.
Yes.
It's a very common way of ornamentation.
That's right.
That's right? Okay. That's very common in to separate but to also decorate both at the same time. I like that.
I love hearing that story because oftentimes people are asked, well, how long does it take you to create a piece? And the way artists think, I could tell you it took 10 minutes, I could tell you it took, 10 weeks, or I could tell you the real part of it. It's like, I've been thinking about this my whole life. It took forever. It took 2 years, it took 3 years from the actual inception of the idea to the execution where it is now. So it's always especially with my work as well, very tricky to ask, to answer for folks when they say, well, how long does it take? It's
the
like, I don't
physical
know.
part. 3 months, could take 2 weeks, it could take, it's really different and dependent on the piece that you're working on. But for example, this piece, I would say that this took me like 4 years then, because the sketch happened a long time ago, but the sketch is a part of the completion of the piece. So this is my sister. I love hearing other people's perspective on this piece too. For example, my mom, she often says that she feels like the older sister that's sitting in blue is like on her menstrual cycle or sad, like she just got her menstrual cycle, and like the little sister is like, oh my god, like what you doing? Like just happy and smiling and like unaware of like how distraught she's feeling, like she's covering her dress, like that's what she thinks about when she sees this piece. And it's often the younger sister that's like oblivious to what's going on in the family home. So I think that is interesting and one thing that I've heard. But I often like hearing other people's perspectives on paintings in general, because I think again with what you were saying, that's the story behind what makes the art powerful or meaningful is if it evokes something in you, something different, or anything. It's like I hate it. That's something. You don't like everything, so if somebody else doesn't like your piece or another piece, that's still a part of what continues conversation. And you can debate in peace. Hey, what do you see? You know? Yeah.
What about you? Can you tell us about
yeah, so I have this practice of looking at other artists' portraits. I believe that the way you perceive yourself is such a beautiful look into your own brain, right? So any of the artists that I've enjoyed, I go and I want to see how you made a portrait of yourself, what you use, what material. So for the past 16, 18 years, I've been, each phase that I've gone through, each medium that I've used, I've created a self-portrait. So there's a self-portrait in the other room on the mantle of me. Duh.
Is it one over the fireplace?
Over the fireplace. Oh, that's what it's on. So I wanted a conversation around the immigrant's journey to the seat at the table. So the name of the painting is called A Seat at the Table. And it began as a conversation about what it looked like to be successful in the United States. What would it look like for me to have success? And I know we talk in relationships about what do you bring to the table. We talk about the table as far as like community as a way of sharing conversation. And in my culture, food and community is built at the table. You may not have a lot, but you cook something, you invite everybody. And in that process, I started to examine in what ways am I establishing myself in in this community, in the world that I live in. And it became a conversation about how much, as a woman, a Black woman, an African woman, that process has been much harder to establish a table where I felt like I was invited. And arguably, in that process, I've become sometimes tokenized, right? Fetishized. I've definitely been used as a prop, and I think that the image that I'm sharing is not only of a feeling of despair, but also kind of like, now that I've reached the table, what next? Am I the painting that's now above for everybody else at the table to be looking at? Am I the spectacle? Or am I making more of a statement as the person finally like taking my spot at the table? So my process is very similar. I sketch, but sometimes I'll take photographs. I don't usually use references, so unless it's of me or my sister or family, I usually create the people that I put on my canvas. So it's tough for me to observe and have to recreate as I see, because like I was saying earlier, you see the ugly while you're also seeing the beautiful, and you have to make the decision of how much are you sharing, how authentic are you being, and so it's a declaration of not only my experience of wanting to be in these spaces where I felt like I didn't belong, but also wanting to take ownership and pushing through those doors in order to feel like I do belong, you know? Maybe I'm just sitting at the table by myself. And if so what?
Thank you all for sharing.
I kind of have a question for you. When you said you don't use references in your photos, I mean in your creations, more of like, what would you consider a reference?
Yeah.
You said you use like images as well, but like, do you create more like imaginative spaces?
Yes,
Thinking
and
about the background. Or?
yeah. So I use a lot of floral and plant life. So because of that, I have a collection of 250 plants plus. So I have examples of plants around me, but there are things like a snake. I know what a snake looks like, but like it'd be nice to know details of a snake. So I'll look at the snake, right? I'm currently working on a piece that has a snake. But for me, a reference is I'll take a photograph of myself and use that as a reference, right? I don't know. That's probably as far as I'll go. I'll go and observe the world. I do people watching a lot, like I'm doing right now, catching bits and pieces, and then I'll combine that to make a new person, or I'll dream of the person. So,
Do you believe you dream every day?
I dream monochromatic colors. I dream shapes. I dream silence. I dream so many different, So my therapist has a lot of fun, but yeah. So there are nights where I'll have the same reoccurring dream in the same shape or color. So like there's no black or white. It's just red, but like different variations of red, or like pink or whatever color.
What does a silent dream look like?
It's kind of like a silent film. Like I'm aware that I'm dreaming. The things are moving. People are actually communicating, but I'm not hearing anything. So I feel like I'm completely. I don't want to say deaf, but I feel like I'm deaf.
Gotcha. Okay.
So fun fact, as an immigrant, a lot of times the way we communicate, when people are talking to us, we look at people's mouths. So I'm great at lip reading. So it's a great skill to have when you're dreaming like that.
Where can we find you all? On social media, on Instagram, on YouTube? How do people keep up?
My Instagram is Paris Souffrant, so Paris like the city, and then Souffrant. That's my Instagram, Paris Souffrant. And I'm really only on Instagram. TikTok, I'm getting there, but Instagram is my platform where I share the most. And also my website, ParisSouffrant.com.
I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, not really Facebook, but yes, but no. But you can find me at TONGUE, like the word tongue, and then _TIED, and the number 8. On Instagram and on TikTok, you'll find me at Universed, EUNIVERSED, the number 8. Those are places I'm most popular.
Cool.
And my website, I did the same thing. TONGUE, the number 8.com.
And if y'all want to find out more about the gallery, it's Artful Walls Gallery on Instagram. Artful with 2 L's at the end. So it's 6 L's altogether. Artful Walls Gallery. Cause we're full of life, we're full of art. We're bigger than the space. The space is pretty damn big. And if y'all want to find our website, artfulwallsgallery.com. Not to be confused with Artfully. They seem to be a little bit more popular than right now. So if Google says, "Did you mean?" Say no.
No.
Say no. Say you meant Artful Walls Gallery. Enjoy. It was a few of y'all that came straight into this conversation. So take a look around. There are 3 floors of art. 1 room upstairs that's right above us. This entire floor and downstairs as well. Relax, talk to the artist, ask some more questions. Y'all don't gotta leave yet. I'm gonna turn some music on. Y'all should grab some wine and take plenty of pictures. Share it on Instagram. Act like we Beyonce. Act like you was happy to be here.
Yeah, tell them Beyonce was here.
On TikTok, they're doing something where they're like saying, "Oh, don't like no celebrities' image," and see what happens to them. Like, let's say Beyonce got 0 likes. How would everybody feel?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to.
We can't help ourselves. She gonna get all of love. But again, thank y'all.
Thank
And
you
we
for the
gonna
conversation.
turn some